Hey guys, Jeremy here with Simple Life, and welcome to another edition of Tool Time Tuesday. This week we're going to take a look at a proper file guide. Now, if you don't know what a file guide is, this is kind of a file guide here. This is a version of it. We've done a Tool Time Tuesday on making this. And essentially what it is two pieces of metal that clamp around a blade, and you can use them to help keep straight lines and keep symmetry in a couple different processes in knife making. We'll go over those in just a minute. Now, this one that we had made, this is actually just 01 tool steel, and I didn't harden it because I thought if I hardened it too much and I go to bend it, there's a chance it could break. So I left it unhardened. And even so, even if you harden and temper 01 tool steel, if you're touching it with your grinder, it's not going to last that long. So that is one of the design flaws with making your own. And I've used this one for a while, but as you can see here, I mean, it's really getting beat up. It's getting chewed down, and it's kind of getting to the point where it's unusable now. So when I had made this one, I'll put a link up to that video where we made this one, but just for the reference right here, what I did was I tapped this bottom hole right here. These two bottom holes were tapped, and then these top holes were drilled very precisely. And once we had everything clamped together, there's not a lot of wiggle room. And in fact, this thing's really cumbersome to use it. Even though this top hole isn't tapped, once you clamp it down a few times, you can see these bars are bent now, and you get a little bit of water in there and you're grinding. It's really difficult and clunky to use, but it does serve its purpose. It did the job. But when this one was getting to this point, I mean, I've made a few of these, and I kind of thought, you know what, I think I need to upgrade into something proper. Now, recently I've purchased this file guide, and this is from Bill Behnke, and this one's night and day. You can't even compare it to this one, really. These ones aren't cheap. I think, I forget what I paid for this. I'll put a link to his website below. Also, I bought this one. I'm not, he hadn't asked me to make videos about this, but this is a product that I've been using for quite a while now, and I absolutely love it. I probably had this for about 2 months, and I've used it a lot, and I can tell you what, it depends. If you just need something, or if you don't plan on doing a lot of knives, these are a great option. But if you're going to start making a lot of knives, and if you find you using a homemade jobby like this quite often, I would say this is something you want to consider upgrading to. Now, this one has carbide plates fastened to it. I think they're epoxied or something. And then this one is stainless. Now, one critical design element to this one that makes it far superior to this one is that he's actually got pins in here. And what that will do is that helps keep things from bending, and it helps keep them square. So these are a very precise locator pin. You can see, I mean, these pins are rusting. These bars here on this model are stainless, but these pins are not. So I just clean them up and oil them every now and then. Obviously, I kind of left it in ill repair. But what you'll do is you'll stick your knife right in here, and say if I'm going to use this for getting a nice plunge line where we're going to grind our plunge line, I'll put it in here like this, and then actually put the pins in first, because that'll help keep everything true. And it's funny, once you tighten this down, these pins, they get locked in place. There's a little bit of play right now, but once you get any pressure on these bolts, they just get locked right in place. And so there we go. You don't have to crank on this too hard because it's so nice and flat and rigid. It actually stays. And now what we've got is a guide, a reference that we can come to our grinding wheel or our platen, and basically we'll keep the bevel line, the plunge line, sorry, on this side exact same as on this side. And this thing works awesome. Also, a lot of people I've heard say that, oh, they have the carbide ones and they're very nervous about touching them to their grinders. I use this one a lot, and I'm not careful with it, and it hardly shows any signs of wear. I'm actually amazed at how well this is holding up. So that's one way that you can use these file guides. Another way you can use them is actually, say if you're making a hidden tang knife, and I don't have any hidden tang knives on the go to show you, but a lot of times when you want to get that, the shoulder, where your blade stops and it's going to meet the bolster or something, you want to get that really nice consistent, you use this, and you can actually file against this. One other thing that I use this for is I use this as a guide when I'm putting jimping, and actually on this model of knife here, this is the street scalpel. I like to put some jimping in here, and I actually use this to help keep my my jimping lines with my checkering file nice and even and consistent. And I am absolutely amazed. I was being a little bit rough on this. I'll tell you the truth. I wasn't being careful with it. I was running my file up against it hard, and like I say, it shows very little signs of wear absolutely impressed with these carbide ones. So these things are super, super handy. And you know, if you're not grinding your bevels with a jig, if you want to get into freehand grinding, these things make it really, really easy because they give you that consistency. You don't have to worry about overshooting your plunge line. Another thing I like about these is sometimes if you're working with really small blades, these give you another place to hold on to that doesn't heat up quite so fast. A lot of times with these smaller blades, when you're getting to your finishing grits, it seems like you've got but a second on the grinder and then it's too hot for your hands. I like these. Sometimes I'll actually hold on to these and you can use them for a little more leverage when you're working your bevels. Anyways, that's Tool Time Tuesday for today. Just wanted to show you a proper carbide file guide. And I tell you what, I know quite a few knife makers, Jeff Fader, off the top of my head, I don't remember. There's quite a few guys that have been using these for years, and I'll tell you what, this is a rock solid product. I got it and I wanted to do Tool Time Tuesday like as soon as I got it, but I thought I should at least put it through its paces. And I've probably ground about 20 knives on this, and I've probably filed jimping on about 10 knives. So I've run, you know, to set in jimping, and I don't take it off. I wait till my jimping's done with the checkering file, and then I'll take it off. So this thing has seen some work, it's seen some abuse, and I'm absolutely amazed at how well it's holding up. So anyways, I'll put a link below where you can find one of these suckers if you're interested in, and I'll tell you just from experience, guys, from using these, from making several versions of these, obviously if you're going to do one of these, I would recommend, if you can, integrate this pin design, because that will help keep things from bowing, and it just helps keeps things a little bit more accurate and a little more rigid. So that's definitely a design flaw like this. Again, if you're just getting into it, this is a great way to go, but if you're using those a lot and you're making a lot of knives, I would consider this a very worthwhile investment, and super, super happy. The service from Bill was absolutely fantastic. Shipped really quickly, and you know what, for the price, I mean, they're not cheap, but they're very, very well made, and I'm absolutely blown away by them. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Cheers.